All right, welcome back. Now I'm going to try not to be too long. I want to respond to a video that I listened to last night by Dennis Spurling. Now, this is not me going at Dennis Spurling or, trying to expose Dennis Spurling or nothing like that. I would say the things that I'm about to say in this video to his face. And it seemed like people forgot that before the internet, black men used to sit in front of each other and have these kinds of discussions all the time. There would be no friction. There would be just a respectful debate. And that is what I want to have on this video. I respect Dennis Spurling, but I disagree with a lot of things he said on this video that he made last night. I don't know if the brother was tired. I know a lot of black men reach a point where they're like, look, man, we're about to be destroyed. We're about to be wiped off the face of the earth. All the division needs to end for us to survive. A lot of black men reach that point. And I just want to point out that it is a reality and there's nothing we can do to stop it. When there's a agenda, all it takes is for one gender, when there is a agenda for gender war, like when the government, for example, has an agenda to spark a gender war between black Americans, all it takes is for one gender to go along with it. You can't then say that both genders participated. Now I got a few timestamps here. First one at 1 minute and 25 seconds. Let's go.
Let's be clear. The government is already doing this to immigrants. It's sending foreign-born gang members and innocent African people who have done nothing but show up to the country illegally. So I guess they're not in it. But anyway, they send them Jamaicans and Haitians, and they send them to Central American prisons. They send them.
He's just pointing out that a lot of these illegal immigrants are being sent to these prisons in El Salvador and whatnot, these really rough prisons. And he is predicting that soon they'll start to send black Americans to those prisons.
Jamaicans and Haitians, and they send them to Central American prisons. They send a bunch of Africans to Panama. You think they're only going to do it to Latinos now? After they finish targeting them, they'll come back around to us, because remember, we're not next, we were first.
Now, I've heard this talk before, that everything that they're doing to these immigrants, they're going to come back around and do to black Americans. Let me stop there. No, they're not. But let's continue.
So this is no longer just about making choices. This is about survival. Okay? The days of that gang culture and all that sort of stuff.
Okay, let me stop here. The reason we're not out here in the streets trying to march for these illegal immigrants, because it literally has nothing to do with us. But if you attack black Americans, you will see us on the streets. Most black Americans are looking at this ICE thing, these ICE raids, as justified. You're here illegally. Nobody wants you here. Us not being in the streets, though, is really not a sign of unity among black Americans. It's really not.
There's probably not going to be any second chances, and the laws are changing, and the prisons are expanding. It's not a game. It's not a joke. All right? And this is my warning to you. Now, that being the case, black people, we have to unite, or we will be erased. And this gender war is a distraction. While we're here fighting each other, the system is preparing to do to black men and black boys and black women what it has always done.
Let me stop here. We're not fighting each other. This is not a situation of black men and black women fighting each other. No, it is not. This is a case, and nothing can change this. This is a case of black women launching a war against their men, and their men, black men, fighting back. And what it really is black women collectively, co-signing with a bunch of lies and propaganda against black men, and black men are simply proving those lies to be lies. We are simply debunking their propaganda. That's not a war. That's a case of one gender being under attack and defending themselves. Let's be real. We've never launched no attack against black women where black men out of nowhere started to attack black women. We sat in silence for years as they waged war on us. But let's continue.
Lock them up, destroy their lives, and leave black women to suffer alone. If you are black,
what? Whoa, wait. Let me back this up.
black women, while we're here fighting, or we will be erased. And this, black people, we have to unite, or we will be erased. And this gender war is a distraction. While we're here fighting each other, the system is preparing to do to black men and black boys and black women what it has always done: lock them up, destroy their lives, and leave black women to suffer alone. If you are a black woman and you understand this,
leave black women to suffer alone. They're already alone. That's the thing. Most of them are single. Even though the majority of them have kids, the majority of them are also single. So, they don't care about us like that. This is what I want black men to understand. They don't care about us like that. I don't know why more black men don't see this. They don't love us like that. We're going to get deeper into that because he's going to bring that up.
okay, the men who are supposed to protect and provide you are being erased. The system is targeting your fathers, your sons, your brothers.
The men, see, that doesn't work on them either. Pointing out that the system is targeting black men because they don't care about black men like that. That's what I'm trying to get black men to understand. They don't love y'all like that. They don't love us like that. Where you can say, hey, sister, the system is attacking black men. They're attacking your brothers. The system is attacking your uncles and your father. They don't give a damn. They don't care. That is hard for a lot of black men to understand or to accept. They don't care. They look at it as, well, you're getting what you deserve. You a little gangster knucklehead anyway. Yeah, the white man need to put his foot on your neck. It's your fault if you get sent over here. They don't care about us like that, but let's continue.
You are a black woman and you understand this. Okay, the men who are supposed to protect and provide you are being erased. The system is targeting your fathers, your sons, your brothers.
Black women have already established they don't need us to survive. So you can't use that against them either. That, hey, the men who are supposed to provide and protect for you are being erased. And we ain't supposed to provide for them anyways. This is a 50-50 culture. Women have all the rights that men have. And actually, women are catered to more than men, especially black women over black men. We don't even live in a civilization anymore where black men are expected to take care of these women. So that don't work either. It's not even a realistic or logical argument right there. But let's continue.
For their lives and leave black women to suffer alone. If you are a black woman and you understand this, okay, the men who are supposed to protect and provide you are being erased. The system is targeting your fathers, your sons, your brothers, everybody you love.
No, they don't love. Black man, accept that, black man. That little love you get from your family members, is it real? Is it genuine? Do they really act like they love you? Let me ask that question.
Okay? So it's time for that division to end, this artificial division. It's time for unity. It's time for us to change today.
No, this ain't no artificial division. They genuinely hate themselves. You can't tackle this so-called gender war without addressing that first. Their resentment for black men originates from their resentment of themselves. This starts with their own hatred of themselves. It's not a back and forth. It's not a war. Hey, it's your fault. Hey, it's your fault. And somehow both parties are at fault and both parties have a good point. That's not the case here. This is a case of them co-signing with racist propaganda against black men and making that racist propaganda a part of their own culture. And they have a pro-white supremacist culture.
Look, there's two choices that we have, all right? We can keep fighting each other over and over again on the internet, right? We can just talk about each other back and forth on the internet as black.
See, no. We cannot describe this as us going back and forth. This is a case of black men finally taking up for themselves, defending themselves, doing research and saying, hey, this is a lie. This has been a lie the whole time. This is not true. That is not true. You're lying. Here's the proof. Here's the evidence. That is not a war. That's us black men being under attack by the world and by our own women as well. They have always co-signed with every single stereotype and lie waged against black men. Name one that they didn't co-sign with. Name one. They co-signed with the idea we were deadbeats. They co-signed the idea we were leaving our families. Co-signed with the idea that we're dusties and broke and ain't making no money and so far beneath Brad and all these other men. All have turned out to be lies. That's not a war. That's not a back and forth. That's one gender being under attack by self-hating mothers. This is a situation, what you have in black America is a situation of the women being extremely broken. Spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, and I would even argue neurologically. Collectively, I think that black women have neurological damage. They are far too quick to get riled up and tweak out and go overboard even when their life is at stake. Go check out some of these videos where they jump sassy with cops on a regular. They have a suicidal imbalance when it comes to their neurological system. This is not a gender war.
Well, we can just keep doing it, okay? We can keep blaming each other and watching our communities destroyed.
Okay, again, that talking about us like that projects us as a bunch of kids. Y'all stop bickering and fighting back and forth. When that is not what's happening. What you have is black women functioning like kids and black men functioning like adults. Let's call it how it is. During this whole so-called gender war, what it really has been is black women functioning like kids and white people are their parents. White supremacists are their parents. They launch attacks against black men defend themselves. And in the process of black men defending themselves, we've also always gave constructive criticism and helpful advice to black women each and every time. We still manage to have compassion on them, to show mercy on them and say, look, y'all need to get this together. Y'all need to do this. Look at how healthy you were when you were with black. Look at you now. Y'all need to do this. Y'all need to do that. And it's all true and factual. So I'm not hearing this gender war, this back and forth narrative.
Okay? We can do that. Or we can wake up, we can come together, and we can fight for our survival.
No, ain't no we waking up. It's them. They're the ones who destroyed black families. So they're the ones who's going to have to fix it if it's going to be fixed. How do they do that? They got to change. Simple as that. They have to change. Not only that, if they were to change, they would then have to hope that black men took them back. You see, All this time, black women have been functioning as extremely disrespectful, hateful women who are willing to sleep with black men, and black men have been okay with it. And in fact, black men have been conditioned by black women operating like that, to the point where black men themselves, and I can't even say that, because the women file for divorce 80% of the time. They leave the relationships 80% of the time. So why are black men being lectured to as if we're doing something to create division? We're not. They're filing for all the divorces, and they are waging all of the false accusations. There is not one narrative black men have waged against black women that have been false. Not one. That's not a war. That's a case of men correcting their women. This, what you see in Black America, is a case of the men putting the women in check, putting them in line, laying out the rules, laying out the facts. That's what it is. There's no way around that. This is not an equal battle, like we're just both on the same level and going at each other. These women have no argument, never have.
As a unified force. I tell you, brother, let's leave these streets alone. Because the consequences are no longer just prison, they're exile, abandonment, and destruction. Black women, stop being distracted by this gender war. Stop getting baited into that fight. Yeah, it might have been somebody to hurt.
He said, stop. He said, black women, stop being baited into this gender war. Let me play that again.
Stop being distracted by this gender war. Stop getting baited. This is no longer just prison, they're exile, abandonment, and destruction. Black women, stop being distracted by this gender war. Stop getting baited into that fight. Yeah.
Can we simply say that? Haven't we been saying that for decades? Haven't black men been saying that to black women for decades? We've been pointing out the agenda ever since it started. Since before it started. I've shared videos where black men in the 70s were sitting there saying that the establishment is putting black women against us. Black women are not allowing us to be men. Okay, so this is all off. This is all off, man.
Getting baited into that fight. Yeah, it might have been somebody to hurt your feelings.
They've already been baited into it. They are knee deep into being baited. And in fact, it's a part of their culture now. It's too late to try to preach to them, hey, sister, don't get baited into this gender war propaganda. Don't believe all the propaganda you hear about black men. It's way too late for that. It has already been integrated into their psychology and has been made a part of their culture.
Blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. But now it's too much on the line. Your men are going to be targeted.
They don't care. Your men are going to be targeted and they don't care. They don't care. Now what? What do you have to say in response to that? Your men are, hey, black women, hey, Keisha. The establishment are going to target your men. What you think Keisha going to say? And they don't care. Come on, man. Black men, stop with this. Black men don't need no lecture. They need lectures. They need help. I'm surprised black men are doing as well as they're doing, being raised by women who hate them, hate their flipping guts. We gotta stop ignoring how much these women hate us. They hate us. Let me show y'all something. Look at this. This was from the 60s and 70s. Y'all seen these before. Look at that. Minority women unite for equal rights, daycare, jobs, abortion. See that one right there? See that one right there? Say abortion. Guess who they targeted? They targeted their sons. It's called gender-based abortions or something like that. And it is a part of their culture to primarily abort black boys. The babies who they have culturally aborted the least are biracial babies. They don't abort biracial babies at all. At all. So what are we talking about here? You got to deal with, you can't ignore a women who are in this bad of a condition, this poor of a condition. No group can.
When they're going, you'll be next. Now it's too much baited into that fight. Yeah, it might have been somebody to hurt your feelings, blah, blah, blah.
You hear that? He said black women don't be baited into that fight. Yeah, there may have been some men who hurt your feelings, blah, blah, blah. No, Brother Dennis. Dennis is projecting the idea that these black women's hostility and resentment of us is rooted in some black man hurting them at some point in their life. That's not true. Their resentment of us comes from their pure hatred of black men, blackness. That's the root of it. Has nothing to do, it really has nothing to do with some black man somewhere hurting them. Because when if that same black man who supposedly hurt them, if a white dude did that, they wouldn't even claim to be hurt and they wouldn't even dump him. In fact, they would get a pass. It got nothing to do with no mysterious black man somewhere in these sisters' past who did some horrible thing to them that turned them against black men. They simply hate black men, blackness, black genetics, black traits. You're dealing with a hateful group of women who have co-signed with a bunch of white supremacist lies. We're not going to sidestep that. No. And this is real because we're going to also look at many of the comments in the comment section. A lot of Dennis Spurling's following is saying, hey, brother, you kind of off base with this one. And I'm simply doing it in video form.
It's alone. Because the consequences are no longer just prison, they're exile, abandonment, and destruction. Black women, stop being distracted by this gender war. Stop getting baited into that fight. Yeah, it might have been somebody to hurt your feelings, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. But now it's too much on the line. Your men are going to be targeted. And when they're gone, you'll be next. But recognize that the system has always used division to destruct. It's time to stop playing that game.
They don't care. They don't care. They don't care.
We need to prioritize our lives, our families, and our futures. And that time is now. We need to stand together.
Ain't no families. What families? 25% of black Americans, of black women are married. What families we talking about? The majority of black women are being knocked up by 19% of black men. What are we talking about? And those black men they're getting knocked up by almost exclusively jobless street dudes. Street dudes. Because that's the only class of black men that black women feel like they can manipulate, control. And those are the only ones that they connect with. Obviously. We can't ignore this. We cannot get out here and start preaching this black unity without addressing black women's dysfunction. Everybody is trying to sidestep that. You can't. Black men have done nothing. We have done nothing but defend ourselves. They can't say that.
Look, let me make this clear. For everybody listening, there's a reason why foundational black American people are minding our business.
Oh, no, yeah, here it is. Here it is. Listen to this.
It's a reason why we're resting. It's a reason why we're not falling for the latest round of political upheaval. We're not throwing ourselves into another battle that doesn't serve us, and we're not going to be used as cannon fodder.
He's talking about these ICE raids and what's going on with these immigrants.
See, we refuse to play along. We are resting.
You want ads that...
He said we are resting. You know, you don't see black Americans out here marching and rallying for these illegal immigrants. And
what they're trying to do to get us off the bench, to get us out of our hammocks, right? They're going to resort to the oldest trick in the book, turning black men and black women against each other. They're going to push.
Already did. And it worked. Why did it work? Because black women co-signed with it. They left black men, not the other way around. They started to co-sign and promote false propaganda that was extremely damaging to our image. 1 in 4 of them marry. It's already done, and it worked.
Women against each other. They're going to push the narrative that black men are somehow keeping black women from whatever. Black men are not doing something. They're going to manufacture division and kick up the animosity.
And they're going to buy into it like they've always done. No matter how much black men sit back and point out and say, hey, that's sister, that's propaganda. Hey, sister, hey, queen, don't believe that. That's propaganda. They're going to snap their fingers, roll their neck, and co-sign with it.
But see, here's the truth. They don't want you to focus. They don't want you to focus on black men and black women on the fact that we're actually on the same page. I told you this before, I'm gonna tell you again. 86% of black men voted for Kamala Harris in 2024. That's more than any other group.
Now he tries to argue that black men and black women as a whole are pretty much on the same page. And he's basing that on the idea that the majority of black men voted Democrat, and of course the majority of black women voted Democrat. I can't co-sign with that. But what I will say is that the majority of black men are on the plantation. The majority of, but that's not why we're not out here in the streets. And those black men who voted Kamala Harris, they are still being attacked by those black women who voted for Kamala Harris. Just because the two genders voted the same, voted Kamala Harris, doesn't mean they're united. Black women are still co-signing with all of this negative propaganda against black men while voting Kamala Harris. And those black men who voted Kamala Harris are steady receiving, right, the bad end of that propaganda, are still the victims of that propaganda. You gotta understand, these black men out here, they co-sign with Keisha's behavior. They accept being disrespected, degraded, being projected as beneath all other men. They accept it. They've accepted their inferiority. But you can't look at that as a people who are strong, a people where the women have emasculated the men and the men accept it. That's not a strong group of people. Hell, that's a weak group of people. You prime and ready to be manipulated. Okay, the women run y'all. How you think that's gonna go? We've already seen how it went with the creation of these slums.
There's no major ideological split between us, black men and black women. We are not at war.
Yes, they are at war with us. They're at war with us. I mean, I don't understand, like, what? I felt like Kevin Samuels' show proved that. How many of them held themselves accountable? Out of the thousands of interviews he did, how many of them held themselves accountable? 0. It was mind-blowing. Let's continue.
So why the sudden push to try to get us up to the front? Why? And since we said we're resting, why are they now trying to push to try to get us divided? Because they need us to fight each other to keep us from realizing our real power. This isn't new, this divide and conquer thing. They've always used division to weaken us. After slavery, they convinced black women that black men were irresponsible and dangerous, so they could justify mass incarceration and targeting us and bringing us into the prison system. They did that. During the civil rights movement, they told black women that black men were holding them back, and that this magical black patriarchy somehow was oppressing black women the same way white men oppress white women. Even though we were fighting the same battle against white supremacy, that managed to convince black women to go run and help white women get their freedom and their rights.
And that, their acceptance of that nonsense changed Black America. Changed Black America. It was because black women accepted that nonsense. Section 8, welfare. They broke up families. They viewed the fathers as useless. There was one gender who perpetrated and co-signed with that, and it was them. Yeah, you can't call this a gender war. I mean, it's really a nation of women who are at war with their own sons. The craziest thing you could imagine. We all got mothers, don't we? Every black man in the country does. A nation of women at war with their own sons. Craziest thing in the world.
In the 1980s and 1990s, they weaponized welfare policies and family courts to separate black men from their households, brainwashing you into believing that black men ain't nothing, they're deadbeat daddies, they don't love their kids, and they don't love you.
I mean, again, how many times have we been over this? It's not working. To this day, black women are still out here pushing this narrative that black men are responsible for single mother households. If I ask 10 black women right now, I'm telling you, at least 9 of them, if not 10, are going to say that the men are responsible for single mother households throughout Black America. That's what they're going to tell you. I mean, how do you work with a group of, this is what we're saying. We can't work with no group of women like this. If you're on a basketball team, for example, and 2 of your teammates decided to start to play for the other team, what can you do about it? Nothing. Ain't no speech, no nothing. Gonna change nothing. We can't control them. They are free to believe whatever they want to believe. And they have. They've made their choice. They've pledged their allegiance. And it is against us. I mean, what are we talking about? Look at this. At the height of black male influence, they left us. Make sense out of that. Make sense out of that. Black men, our influence was changing the entire world. Our pushback against injustice here in America motivated the globe. Black men's image was at an all-time high around this time. You had people out there like Malcolm X, right? All the civil rights leaders. The black male image, black men's image during that time was respected. Excuse me. Around that time, the majority of black homes had fathers. Right? Around the 50s, which is not far from the 60s. That generation that was there in the 60s, 70s, were also there in the 50s, 40s, 30s. You were there. when the majority of black homes in America had fathers in them. Black men's image was at an all-time high, and they left us. So why in the world would they magically say, I'm going to unite with black men at a time like now? After they've already co-signed with propaganda against us that destabilized black America. It was under these women that this gang culture started to get worse. It actually started to get worse, even though it was pretty high back then as well. But they brought in this, this hip hop gang culture. They allowed their boys to be manipulated by the system, by these puppet industries, rappers and whatnot. And what are black men supposed to do? We're supposed to come in and fix that? Supposed to come in and be fathers to their kids? No. I mean, what does unity with black women today look like? What does that look like? When over half of black men have never had kids, and over 70% of black women got kids. If those two groups come together, what does that look like? It's going to look like a bunch of men with no kids taking care of a bunch of women with kids. They operate in a way such we can't just up and unite. They function too much like a group of breeders. You can't have no civilized unity with that. They hate their kids' fathers. Whoever their kids' fathers is, he's not in their life because usually he's not in their life because of her, according to their own mouths. According to their own mouths, the majority of them who are not married leave their kids' fathers. They're the one who leaves and destroys the home. So no, this is not a case where both black men and black women have been acting up, have been mistreating, misbehaving. Oh, y'all stop bickering. It's not a case where both genders have whipped up some false propaganda. If so, what false propaganda have black men ever whipped up against black women? Tell me. Because this argument projects that, it implies that. It implies that we as black men have been doing the same thing to black women that they've been doing to us. No. There hasn't been no narratives in society that black men have just jumped on board with and co-signed with. No, I'm not buying this. I'm not buying this. And I understand a lot of black men reach this point. And I've reached this point many times where I'm like, look, man, we're about to be destroyed. We're getting wiped out. I see it in play now. We need to set all our differences aside and operate as a group. Even if we don't really like each other, that's what we need to do. But when you come back to reality, it don't work like that. It don't work like that. You got a group of women who have serious mental, spiritual, and emotional issues based on all available information. They hate black men. They view black men as beneath all other races of men. You can't unite with a group of women like that. These other women look at their men as the prize. Black women look at non-black men as the prize. Make sense out of that. Make sense out of that. How are we going to unite with a group of women like that? A group of women who wears other men's hair. who are aligned with other men, who fantasize about other men. This is what they do. They fantasize about being the counterpart of these other men. That's actually what they're doing when they wear these perms and wigs and weaves. They want to go through life believing and pretending like they are actually the counterpart of Brad. Think about that. This irrefutable facts. This is how against black men they are. They don't even want to walk this earth looking like our counterpart. They want to look like the counterpart of other men. Do you know how deep a hatred you need to operate like that? See, that's part of the problem. They are so anti-black and so anti-black male that most black men don't know where to start to even refute it. I'm not uniting with no women like that. I refuse. Ain't nothing but destruction waiting for you. If you make it out of it, if you even live, you're going to end up worse than you were going into it. That's like a death sentence. Hey, just go unite with these black women who are at war with you, sleeping with all kinds of Enriques and Brads and all this kind of stuff. Who kicked off this swirl movement? Black men ain't kick off no swirl movement. No, look at all these movements that they've had that have been anti-black male. Dusties, scrubs. Huh? We don't take care of our kids. We run away from families and all this BS. So I'm not co-signing with that narrative. I don't care who it comes from. This so-called gender war is actually an attack. Historically, it has been an attack. When you're looking at the facts, an unwarranted attack. Before they co-sign with feminist ideologies, before they co-sign with anti-black male propaganda, black men had done nothing to them. The only thing we had done was protect them. So they simply kicked off a war against their own men. And that war against their men, against black men, continues to this day. So again, it's not me going at Dennis, but I want to show y'all something. It's not just me. You go into this video and you look at the comment section yourself. We're going to look at a few of them now. Until women take accountability, this will stay the same. Okay? And this got the majority of votes. Why you think so many black men have upvoted this? This is a black woman. Yes, we are choosing unity over every and anything. Okay, really? Somebody said, no, we should separate. Don't fall for the reach back. That's another thing. This whole narrative supports the reach back. Oh, let's just unite. Regardless of what's happening, regardless of reality, let's just unite and scoop up black men, go out there and go scoop you up a sister. Nah. Look at this. Treachery cannot be forgiven. This is what a lot of black men feel. They betrayed us, stabbed us in the back. They have co-signed and aligned with our enemies. They usually go after the most racist white men, and they sit behind closed doors talking about us. Some black men refuse to forgive that. You don't betray black men looking at everything we've gone through in this country. slavery, lynchings, black codes, the way they've treated us in this country. You mean to tell me you still got black women who gonna align with white supremacists? No. No. Let me show you something else. Let's look at some more comments here. Look at this. Look at this Keisha comment. Look at it. She said, when you have a group who don't want to provide, she's talking about us. She's talking about black men. This big back Keisha, this linebacker, is talking about us. Saying that we black men don't want to provide. Listen to that. They file for over 80% of divorces, and they leave the relationship 80, 90% of the time. And we make more money than them on average. And they saying that we don't want to provide. Listen to this. Who knows? Your little Pookie baby daddy can't provide because he locked up. What you talking about? See, here you go. When you have a group who don't want to provide, look, not be faithful, calling black men unfaithful, calling black men deceptive. This is the same group of women who don't want to be married, who have a roster, calling us deceptive, calling us disrespectful. Listen to this. Look at this. It's more like I'm defending myself. Listen to this. No, I'm not aligning with that. I'm not uniting with that. Maybe this is just a time where black Americans perish. If that's the case, so be it. I ain't aligning with these women. I ain't about to go out here and try to save them and save their life, pay their bills, take care of them. Women who hate our guts. Walking around with our enemies' hair on your head. Get out my face. You disrespectful heathen. Look at this. Somebody said again, I don't know what Dennis is talking about. Saying they're going to try to make black women see black men as the problem. They already done that. And the world see how black women are. They can't pull that anymore. That's the same thing I said. They've already done that. And black women rode with it. Look at this. Another black woman. She said, I agree, but unfortunately, there's not much love for black women. There you go. Blaming black men. There's not much love for black women, huh? Why isn't there? Y'all raised this current generation, primarily. Y'all had exclusive rights as parents. What happened? You can't even raise kids to love you? To love black women? Huh? No. There's just a lot of black men pushing back against y'all's hatred of us. We need to talk exclusively about their hatred for us. We need to do a whole stream about that. Their hatred for us is so deep because their hatred for themselves is so deep. Look at what they're willing to do with this wig and weave mania. You know how embarrassing that is? You walking around with somebody else's hair on your head? That's the height of shame. But they hate themselves just that much. They don't care. They don't care. They hate looking the way that they look. That's a disturbed woman. Look at this other comment she made. FBAs need to stop killing each other in these gangs. No, the sons that y'all, the hateful sons y'all raise is what you talking about. Y'all raised them to kill each other. Y'all raised these boys to hate each other and target. Y'all responsible for that because y'all were the parents. They came out of your household. When you look at gang violence, when you look at gang members, period, the black Americans who cause the most ruckus out here, virtually all of them came from a single mother household. Virtually all of them. This is an epidemic that y'all created. If there's two parents in the home, then you blame both of the parents, don't you? So if there's one parent, you blame that parent. Want to hear this nonsense? When have y'all ever rallied against the gangs, the violence that's in this music industry that they love so much? Get out of here. Look at this. FBA men got options. This guy, some disrespectful dude. Somebody said, look at this. SYCBM will not work. There is no fellowship with traitors. Some other black woman said, are black men going to apologize? Can you believe this? We supposed to go unite with a group of traitors telling us to apologize. No, thank you. No, thank you. So I thought this was unfortunate. I thought this broadcast, and there's plenty of them here online. But I just wanted to give my response to this narrative because it's all over the internet. A lot of black men talk like this. Hey, we need to come together. Hey, we need to unite and all this stuff. No. We either deal with the whole truth or let's not talk at all. We either deal with the facts, deal with reality, or let's not talk at all. I'm not even going to waste my time if we're not going to deal with the facts of the matter. Right? So yeah, this is not an anti-Dennis Spurling video. Let me clarify that again. It is not. I'm responding to these issues, and I'm going to actually have to continue this because there's actually a lot to unpack here. Yeah, that's another thing. That's another thing we don't talk about. Somebody in the comment section, in the chat room, said at least half of black men I spoke to dislike their mothers. And the ones who love their mothers, you find out that their mothers abused them their whole life. And those black men are traumatized, sort of got like Stockholm syndrome, and they spend their life trying to, as an old person, trying to get the approval and the love and acceptance from that hateful mother that they never got. They grow up, they get a job, they got some money. Here, mama, here's some money. All the while hoping that she finally loves them and all this kind of stuff. And those are the black men who say, hey, yeah, I love my mama. When you look at their relationship, most of those black men were abused also growing up. And their so-called love for their mother is actually a Stockholm syndrome type of dynamic where they're constantly the rest of their life trying to earn the acceptance of their mother. And when the whole time you make accomplishment after accomplishment and she don't recognize it, she don't respect it or nothing unless you putting money in her pocket. There's a whole lot of black men like that who have been done wrong their whole life by their mothers. Right. Man, please. Did y'all hear about that lady, that black woman, whose kids froze to death? And she was out partying like a couple months later. Out partying. 2 kids froze to death. And in a few months, she out partying and dancing. You can't convince me that these women love themselves, first of all. And if you don't love yourselves, you can't love black men. And to be honest with you, they don't even love each other. They don't even love each other. They'll claim to be friends. But yet, when they're apart from each other, they're talking about each other like dogs. They're always backstabbing each other. So, no. Yeah. That's where I have to disagree 100%. Now, I'll leave it there.